Hey dreamers, this is Jade. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to fill out another 2 weeks in my media log as far as getting the decorations on the other side. I like to have a visual representation of what I was reading, watching, gaming, etc., etc. So that's what I'm doing here. So the two books that were mainly on my radar were Somewhere I'll Find You by Lisa Kleypas and The Magnificent Rogue by Iris Johansson. And I ended up reading that almost kind of by accident. I was looking for something else in like Libby or Hoopla, and that came up as one of the the things that populate, and I thought it was interesting enough when I read through the description to go ahead and start reading it, and I really enjoyed it. I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed it because I'd never heard of this author. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to actually reading more of her books now. So check out The Magnificent Road if you have not. It was really good. Of course, Lisa Kleypas is always chef's kiss. And I also listened to on Hoopla, I believe it was the second book in the second book in the House of Bane and Blood duology. Because I had read The House of Bane and Blood. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but it was time that I finally listened to the rest or read the rest. Okay, I listened to the second book and read the first book. Let's put it that way. Okay, so I decided to finally get done with that, and I enjoyed it immensely. It was really good. So that's one duology I do recommend. So if you're looking for something interesting to read, it's kind of fantasy, kind of. They say it reminds people of Peaky Blinders, and I can see that as far as like the family dynamic, but other than that, it just was not giving Peaky Blinders to me. But anyway, moving on, some things that I watched. One of the K-dramas that was on my radar for that month was Boyfriend on Demand. That was pretty cute. I mean, it wasn't my favorite that I've ever watched before, but it was pretty good. I finally watched the Peaky Blinders movie, Immortal Man. That was pretty good. I love Peaky Blinders, the whole series. So yeah, that was a great addition. And then I ended up watching Seven Dials, and I think it was based on an Agatha Christie book. That was pretty good. It was only like 4 or 5 episodes, very short, very quick on Netflix. And then I started watching The Single Life, which is like a part of the 90-day franchise. I was watching the latest season because I had saw a clip where I found out that Kimberly, who had been, if you're not familiar, or if you are familiar, she had been involved with Usman for a while or whatever. Anyway, I found out that she had another son, and there's more to it than that. So, and I was like, wait, what? So I definitely had to start watching because I wanted to see what was going on with that. Anyway, moving on. Of course, I was watching the One Piece live action again. And I probably need to go ahead and watch it again. I need to contact my friends because we need to watch it together and do our whole texting and stuff thing. And of course, I was watching the One Piece anime at this time as well, and we were in Water 7. So yeah, anyway, moving on. I am going on to the next week, doing the same thing. I was kind of reading, well, the City of Mirth and Malice and the Magnificent Rogue. Spilled over to the next week, so I just put that down there. I watched this K-drama called My Dearest Nemesis. It was so cute. I really loved that one, so I had to get that down. And then of course the third season of Heartbreak High. If you guys have not seen that show, it is so good. It's on Netflix, and there was it was called Generation. There was a show on that came on HBO Max like years ago. I watched the first season, the first and only season. It was called Generation, and it was so good. And they ended up canceling it. I don't know if it came on HBO or Max, Cinemax, but it was one or the other. They ended up canceling it, but it was so good, and it just left off on these cliffhangers. This show, Heartbreak High, will appease that feeling of wanting, because it's very similar, and it's so cute. It's an Australian show, though, if I'm not mistaken, but it is on Netflix, and if anybody wants to check it out. And of course, still watching One Piece. We had finally gotten well into Water 7. On this, in its lobby, which is following Water 7. Most people just call the whole thing Water 7, but to me it's broken up into Water 7, and then we go to Ennie's lobby. So yeah, anyway, I was listening to Once and For All, I believe, by what is her name? I used to read her books a lot when I was younger, and she's an author from North Carolina, and of course I can't remember her name right now. It's getting on my nerves. Anyway, It's called Once and for All. It was pretty good, but it wasn't like anything to write home about, at least not for me. Which is funny because I really enjoy this author's books, but this one was just okay. But anyway, so yeah, so I think that is pretty much it as far as what I was. No. I was actually reading. You guys know I like love my lore and stuff like that because it is what it is. So I know that Monkey D. Luffy, the main character of One Piece, which you guys know I am obsessed with. I found out a couple years ago that his whole thing was he was actually based on like the Monkey King legend from over in I think China and like Korea, Japan, but I think mainly China if I'm not mistaken. And so I was on this guy's page. His name is Briefed, and he was giving information about it. And I was like, "Oh man, I did not know this. Thank you for sharing. I have to look this up." And he gave me a book to read, and so I ended up getting that book, and I finally read it, and it was pretty good. It was really good. I could see I could definitely see how Luffy was birthed from this kind of legend. Although I think he is an amalgamation, is that the right word, of a few different things, like this Monkey King from this book and like other characters throughout history. I think he's kind of a combination of that. And I just love Luffy. I love what he stands for. He is my liberation king, and I am here for it. And so the Monkey King, I definitely had to kind of go into the history of it and see what was what. And I can definitely see how Luffy was birthed from the idea of this Monkey King. And there is a movie that I used to love. Oh God, of course I can't remember the name of it right now, but it was about the Monkey King and this whole adventure. Jackie Chan was in it, and Jet Li, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, anyway, that pretty much wraps this up. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know. Leave it in the comments below. I trust you all have been safe and well, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye.